Welcome back to Beast Wars Wednesday.
He's your host.
Decepticon Doug.
I'm your other host.
Predacon Paul. Today, would you believe, this very Wednesday, we are going to be talking about Transmutate.
Okay, this episode starts with Megatron seemingly asleep in his chair.
Rampage squeezes the doors open. Like, he's a gigantic robot, but he's really trying his best to sneak. Like this, like tick 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 tick. He's trying to get his spark back.
His spark back. You ever just lost the spark?
A lot of sparks, actually. The spark of my innocence. The spark of my youth. But would you believe Megatron hears him and wakes up? Megatron grabs the spark and goes like, "Hey, dude, did you forget I'm the boss?" And then he squeezes it. And Rampage is like, "No, I didn't forget. I'm sorry. I just really want to be free. I'm sorry." So Rat Trap, Cheetor, and Silverbolt are out in I guess a Badlands. They're just looking for Energon. Or wait, no, that's not the thing they do anymore.
No, that's not.
No, what they do is they actually search for jamming stations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good old jamming stations. And then the ground starts to shake.
They're like, woo, woo. And then Rhinox is like, "Optimus, they're having too much fun with the ground shaking."
And Optimus is like, "This is a vocation, not a vacation." So he goes out there to tell him, to spank some behinds. No having fun on my watch.
No, we're all supposed to be sad because Dinobot died.
It's nice that Optimus refers to losing Dinobot. Like, I'm not going to lose any more friends today. It's not one of those, all of a sudden, everybody gets over it and then we forget about the thing that happened in last week's episode. They're still dealing with it.
The earthquakes really are getting out of control. So Megatron scans that Maximals are around that jamming tower and he's like, "I love my jam."
Especially the raspberry jam.
Yeah. If the Maximals get to my jamming tower and destroy it, who's going to be making my jam? So he's like, "Inferno, Rampage, go stop them."
Everyone else take the day off.
Yeah. It's a huge earthquake. It's really getting out of control, but Cheetor and Rattrap get knocked out of the sky from some sort of big energon surge that happens after a stasis pod is revealed. It emerges from this tectonic shifting majig. Rampage is like, "Oh man, I like that stasis pod. I bet in there is my new best friend."
He really jumped to that conclusion, like, very fast.
He's like, "Ooh, I like what's going on in there." The stasis pod shakes and
rattles
and
rolls a little bit.
Yeah, it's all those things. Rampage prompts the protoform inside the stasis pod to emerge. He's like, "Come on, you can do it. Who's a good boy?" It explodes out. And Rattrap is like, "Woo, what is that?"
Dun 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 dun.
Dun! And then it is revealed this gigantic but very skinny creature that looks actually strangely like this toy. Like a lot. That's kind of weird, isn't it? What a coincidence. But Rampage takes to it right away. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna be my best buddy." Silverbolt, Rat Trap, and Cheetor get up there, and Silverbolt's like, "Hey, no. How about you be my best buddy?"
Because I am a freak of nature too.
"I'm fused with an eagle." That's weird, isn't it? This creature is very confused because he just seems to have a very simple baseline intelligence. And he's like, "Well, this guy wants to be my friend. This guy wants to be my friend." Inferno pops up and just ruins everything. He shoots at Silverbolt, but like really badly. Great work trying to get the protoform for Megatron. You shoot it. That's the first thing you do, Inferno.
It's impressive that hit didn't really do anything. It was more of an annoyance. He's like, "Ugh. Ow."
It shrieks and knocks everybody out. All the Maximals go thunk. The only one who actually is still able to walk after that is Rampage, who's,
got the immortal spark thing going on.
He's a big boy. Rampage puts his arm over his shoulder and he's like,
"I'll protect you.
Hey man, you and me, we're a team now.
Yeah, I'll protect you. You protect me.
Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang. We're basically best friends." All the Maximals, they wake up, they're like, "Oh, my head hurts. Oh, I wish that didn't happen." And then they're like, "Oh, thank God Optimus is here." But actually, it's kind of a lazy transition because you don't see Optimus come. You just see Silverbolt go, "Oh, Optimus," and then kind of like a screen wipe, and it's like, "Oh, guess Optimus is there."
We could hear him.
Rampage is chatting. He's like, "Hey, you're looking pretty transmetally. You're looking kind of mutant-y.
I like it.
Yeah, let's call you Transmutate."
Which is funny because earlier he already said, "Transmutate, let us go," or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of a funny little oversight there.
So you
know,
f***ed up again.
Can we just like give the script one more pass?
Megatron shows up and he's like, "You got a new friend? Cool. He's ugly. What's your name?" Transmutate. Oh, okay, yeah, that's ugly too. Yeah, that works. Transform for me. Inferno's like, "Royalty, I will do it." And then he transforms.
That's really cool. He turns into a fire ant.
What?
Yeah. He just turns from a robot into a giant fire ant.
Transmutate tries to go beast mode.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. Rampage is like, "Bro, you haven't even tried yet." And then Transmutate's like, "Gotcha. Beast mode." And he loses a piece that's clearly non-vital. Did that thing come back, or did he put it back on?
Yeah, sure wasn't important.
And if you tried to transform yourself and then all of a sudden you like a rib fell out, or like you lost your clavicle, that's how you know you tried really, really hard.
To be honest, I've never tried that hard on anything.
Me either.
Megatron's just like, you know what? If he can't transform, he can't be in a show called Transformers.
So get him out of here.
And Rampage stands up, he's like, no! Megatron's like, yes! And he squishes his little spark sandwich, and then...
And Rampage says,
But wait, Rampage has a valid point. But this guy's so powerful. Don't you want to, like, try and use it? And Megatron's like, that's actually true. That is something that I would do. So, okay, fine. Get it to do something useful. Meanwhile, with the Maximals, Optimus is like, good boy, Cheetor. Good boy, Ratchap. Go back to the base. Hey, good boy, Silverbolt. You want to go find your friend? Let's go.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love finding friends. That's basically my number one favorite thing to do, apart from bang spiders. Ugh. So they're on the search for Transmutate. Transmutate is on the ground, playing dead, like he was a puppy being trained a new trick. Silverbolt's like, oh, he's hurt. I'm gonna help him because this puppy has not been trained to that new trick. What happened, Transmutate? Tell me about it. But it was an ambush all along. Inferno and Rampage just blast Silverbolt. Actually, frankly, I feel like he should have looked more damage after the sheer amount of firepower that he took. He passed out and he was like in bad shape, but you didn't really see it. Rampage tells Transmutate to... And Transmutate's like, but
what does he mean, like finish? Like finish?
Like finish his thought?
Like finish his homework? Please tell me he's hiding a burger somewhere.
Finishing his dinner.
Or pizza. Triple pepperoni pizza.
Delicious. Inferno is very, very impatient. And he's like,
he doesn't even give him like 2 seconds. He's just like, finish him. Ah! Get out of the way. Transmutate decides to scream that Sindel scream of his. Blast Inferno.
It's pretty wicked rock and roll scream, actually. Like, probably one of the best. Up there with, like, The Who.
It is useless.
Takes Inferno right out. He basically goes off in a flaming ball of fire, which is how Inferno always wanted to go.
Yeah, he did.
Optimus comes in.
First he kicks him with his surfboard.
Knocks him into a mountainside with, again, luckily, a precariously placed boulder on top. Which Optimus goes, kapow!
Which I criticized before, but it makes sense now. Because they're still in that geologically unstable area.
That's true. If
so
anything,
it's still pushing.
It makes more sense now. Transmutate is mad because he's like, Rampage is my buddy. He's about to give his rock and roll scream to Optimus. But Silverbolt is like, nah, dude.
He's my friend. Transmutate's like, my bro here.
He got an owie on his face.
Optimus is like, yes. But let's fly him back to base.
Give him to me, I'll fly him back. Transmutate's like,
did you say fly? Go, gadget. Back crystal thing.
Transmutate can fly as well. And it's a pretty nifty way of flying. As they're flying away, Rampage bursts out of the rocks. He's like, no! That's my only friend! At the Maximal base, Rhinox, guess what he's doing? Pressing some buttons.
Tassels.
giving him the old tassel exam. He's like, and Optimus is like, well, you know, he's very strong, and he's really not too bright, and very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Very dangerous, indeed.
Thank you for confirming that for me, Predacon Paul.
Got you, man. I got you.
That's what friends do, man. That's
That's what good waffles do.
They determined, the best thing would probably be to just put him into stasis lock.
Which isn't, like, bad. It's just putting him to sleep, right?
Essentially.
But they can wake him up again, right? Stasis lock, they go into stasis lock all the time. But I suppose it's the idea of taking away his freedom that Silverbolt has a problem with.
Silverbolt definitely is not pleased with this. But now we're just going to be shutting people off left, right, and center. I'm not having it. And, he's telling them off. And Transmutate's just like, what to do? Gonna go walking around the base.
Dad. He hears his voice. And he's like, God. It's Rampage.
He's like, hey, want to be my friend still? Come on out. Transmutate blasts out of the Maximal base and heads toward Rampage. And then Silverbolt's still like, I'm so sick of this stupid place. Optimus is like, go to your room.
Go cool off.
Transmutate goes and hangs out again with Rampage, hanging out with the bad kids.
Mm-hmm. Smoking pot. Doing dope.
Smoke weed every day. Rampage is like, we're gonna be the best of friends. But Silverbolt knows what's up, and he goes to find Transmutate, and he's like, hey, what did I tell you about hanging out with Rampage? He's not a good egg. And then they just start fighting. They're like, oh yeah, check this. Oh yeah, check this. Transmutate's like, what is even going on? Why are my buddies just fighting like this? And they fall off a cliff, and then they shoot missiles at each other. And Transmutate's like, you know what? This is all just too confusing. I'm gonna separate these two. Transmutate lands in between the two of them, projecting a lot of energy. The missiles stop. Transmutate's just like, wah! Both Rampage and Silverbolt are like, no! As Transmutate blows up. Pieces of Transmutate are littered everywhere.
It's snowing purple energy.
Rampage picks up the head, and Transmutate says, I am hurt, and then dies. Optimus and Cheetor show up, and they're like, all right, who we gonna beat up? And Silverbolt's like, no. For today, we are brothers.
It's one heck of a way to end this episode.
Yeah.
I feel like season 2 really isn't pulling any punches.
Yeah, no, it's not like they decided to lighten the mood too much after Code of Hero.
And this one, what would you say the message is overall?
Well, Transmutate kind of symbolizes this stripped down, bare bones way of thinking. On one end, you have Silverbolt, who's like one extreme good, Rampage, who's this complete psychotic, extreme bad, and so they're like the perfect counterpoints to one another, and Transmutate is kind of the middle neutral ground.
He accepts them both for who they are.
He just doesn't believe that they should fight, he just wants his friends to get along. There's always like complications and nuances to any conflict between either like individuals or like grand scale world conflicts of like wars. There's always like so many details that make it so that it's just hard to stop. But when you really strip it down, conflicts can just be resolved if both sides decide to stop. And I think that's sort of like what Transmutate represents, is this sort of like very bare bones way of thinking. It's like you can fight or you can not fight. All the other stuff is stuff that's kind of constructed from these prejudices that we have. So the prejudices are what like the starting point is, and then we kind of build everything else around that and make it more complicated than it needs to be. When you look at the Predacons and Maximals, there is like centuries of turmoil as well. Predacons feel oppressed right now, but at some point they were oppressing like the Autobots. Transmutate doesn't understand Megatron's grand plan. He doesn't understand what's going on Cybertron. He doesn't understand the golden disc. And he's only starting to understand good and dark.
It is interesting that's how Transmutate obviously sees this conflict as this thing that just needs to stop.
He just can't understand. He just cannot understand why there's a fight. It's interesting because he latches onto Silverbolt and Rampage because really, honestly, neither one of them have much stakes in the fight. Silverbolt, he's never known Cybertron. He's not really like connected to the bigger picture of the Beast Wars. His life started on the planet. His life basically started in the Beast Wars. Rampage does remember all that happened to Cybertron. He's like an unwilling third wheel in this whole thing. He's being used.
Again, but this time by the Predacons, because it was the Maximals who created him, and then were like, oh, we're just going to get rid of you.
Yeah, although we do learn later that for very good reason. And also, it's good to have a character development episode for Rampage, because I really feel like we needed that.
Yeah, me too.
It kind of showed him to be more than just a raving psychopath.
Show that he had desires beyond wanting to kill a man.
He craves connection. It's almost like he wants to love Transmutate, but he can't get over his own nature of like being really selfish and manipulative about it. You pointed out while we were watching it that he's feeding Transmutate lies of like, I will be the only one to be your friend. I will protect you.
But Rampage wasn't wrong though. And this opens up a whole other discussion. What would you do in Optimus's place? Having Transmutate around, it's like giving a 3 or 4-year-old an AK-47. Okay, here you go. They wanted to just shut him down and sort of like bury him until they got to Cybertron or until the Beast Wars were over. But the fact of the matter is, they were going to take away his freedom and take away his choice. And that's the one thing Rampage doesn't have, is freedom and choice. He's stuck under the heel of Megatron. And if Transmutate ended up in the Maximal camp, that's exactly what would have happened to him, except in a different way. He would have been shut down. So it's not like he was wrong. And yeah, of course he was manipulative, and you know, Maximals are more open to discussion, obviously.
You know, it is just like, how do I word this? But like, if you know, like, is somebody who's, you know, let's say special needs and like really strong and like has such a temper. It's just someone who needs to be well taken care of to be under control. And the truth of the matter is, in the Beast Wars, the Maximals have a bare bones staff right now. They don't have the capabilities of being able to like take care of Transmutate properly and teach him how to be like a functional Maximal. It's the Beast Wars, the life and death situations constantly. They can't afford to have someone who could be easily flipped against them. It is kind of a nice, like, an interesting moral dilemma, which is kind of going back to the idea of like Beast Wars being a sci-fi show. I always feel like the classic Star Trek was like moral dilemmas that they kind of look and analyze this concept of like, okay, well, what would happen in this situation? Like, what is this sort of like a metaphor for? Okay, their face is white on this side and black on the other side and stuff like that. It's kind of in the same vein. Is it immoral to just like shut Transmutate down for the safety of like everybody?
Do we put our morals ahead of our safety? We're Maximals, but we're also realists.
And I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer. If I were in Optimus's shoes, I probably would have come to the same conclusion, really. It's just like, yeah, I think we need to shut him down for now.
Okay, what are the things that you felt really, really worked in this episode?
Well, I mean, apparently there's a lot of meat to dig into.
There's too much for this one episode of Beast Wars Wednesday.
The fact that we had to dive right into the discussion of the morality and the implications of everything that this episode had to say, I think is one of the most standout points, is that the ideas in this episode are way bigger. I feel like it should have been longer. You and I noticed how fast it went.
But it didn't seem abrupt.
No.
The episode progresses in a step-by-step fashion that is believable, and it doesn't feel contrived at all.
Can I get into a few things I didn't care for?
No. What didn't work for you in this episode?
I felt like the first act was a little clunky. It was not really great until Transmutate came into the picture. Again, a little bit contrived. It's like, we're looking for those jamming towers. Mm-hmm. And, there's earthquakes. And I don't know. I even remember the first time I watched it, I was kind of feeling a little bit like, I don't know about this episode. But yeah, once Transmutate came into the episode, it became really interesting.
I think we had the same gripe with the Dark
Voyage.
Dark Voyage, yeah.
And as much as we joke, the jamming towers are like the new Energon. But it's very accurate, actually. It's just it's just a thing that they need to go do to be out. Another thing, it still feels out of character for Megatron to go like, he can't transform, destroy it. If you're talking about a creature that has power that's equal to Rampage, would you not want to try and harness that power and use it against the Maximals? Megatron was just so quick to dismiss it and throw it in the garbage. I get why that is important thematically for the story, but it does feel out of character for Megatron.
Well, I think that it's important thematically for the story.
I didn't think of that. Thanks so much, Predacon, Paul.
You're welcome.
Those are my main gripes. I don't really have much else.
I did like how Inferno sort of has the wrong idea about what's going on with Rampage.
There are hints that Inferno seems a little bit jealous about Rampage. Like, he says this line about, I will again be at the royalty's side.
You can see that he's, like, hasty in a lot of his actions. There's no patience.
He's just trying to hurry things along, and he's trying to be the one definitely to bring Transmutate to Megatron and be like, yes, I will do whatever you say. I will win the day for you, royalty. This actually shows another character trait about Megatron, is that Megatron will have whoever is the biggest gun that he can control by his side all the time. And right now that is Rampage. And it was Inferno. No loyalty to his troops whatsoever. And it just, whatever gun is the most useful to him in that moment.
Which is sad.
I kind of feel bad for Inferno because he's so devoted. And not that he's like a good guy or anything. He's definitely like pretty damn evil.
I think he's evil because that's what the royalty commands. If Optimus was the royalty, Optimus would be trying to... If we teach him how to think for himself. Because that Optimus isn't about that life, right?
He definitely would have been like, say a few more cool things like hasta la vista, baby, and stuff like that,
Yeah. I feel like even with Optimus wouldn't be able to teach him because he's unteachable. He has one purpose, and that is to be by the royalty's side as she commands.
But his method would be changed completely because he would be following Optimus's orders to the letter. So it would be like, do this, don't kill anybody. Then they just shoot their knees and go like...
He'll live.
After just diving right into this conversation, Doug and I have decided to give this episode
4.5 out of 5 flying spinal crystals. So while the episode isn't really of much consequence in the grand scheme of the Beast Wars, it is a little bit fillery and it's a little bit clunky in its delivery from time to time. The ideas that this episode has cause a spark of debate and dilemma and imagination. It asks the tough questions, really tough questions for like a kid's show. Season 2 at this point is on a roll.
Tell us what you thought about this episode of Transmutate. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, tell your mom. And if you can, please describe to us in detail just what the hell Transmutate uses to fly. One of the things I didn't like, he never used his hand cannon thinger.
Yeah, they go to all this work to... Oh, it's yeah.